Dumb, cool,
weird
podcast. Welcome to the Dumb, Cool, Weird podcast, and we just watched Masquerade of the Red Death. And as you can see, we're recording with live footage again.
Yeah, it's going to be real fun. Next time we're going to do ASMR about very scary stories.
Yep, to tell in the dark.
Yeah, you're going to hear some of my nightmares.
Yep. So, Masquerade of the Red Death.
Another good film by Vincent Price, who is a man of old English literature, a very avid reader of the dictionary and the thesaurus.
Yep. Old Prospero.
Prince Prospero.
Prince Prospero. Basically, the movie starts with an old woman picking dead leaves and shit.
Probably, collecting firewood, and then she runs upon the Red Death.
Yep.
Gives her a rose, and is like, bring this, your demise will come from your tyrannical leader. And then, douche canoe Prospero shows up.
Yep.
He's like, oh, well, there's going to be a great feast. There's going to be a great feast. Stupid. And then this one guy's like, so we're all going to die because you're going to feed us the scraps? Indeed, exactly. Why does my dog bark so loudly? And then, tries to fight him, and they get like this one really sexy woman is like, no, stop fighting.
Yeah, spare my father and my lover
Gino. Apparently, this was Italy, by the way.
Yep. And basically, when he's trying to discipline them, the old lady that was picking the stuff and then got handed the Red Death rose was making really loud sounds and quiet that. Not even acknowledging that it's a person, but it's just a
I love when he's like, when he goes in there and he just sees her face. She screams. He's like, the Red Death.
Yeah.
He's like, burn the village down.
Yeah, I like how he knew it was the Red Death. But for y'all who don't know, like basically the new format of the podcast is we're going to talk about some of the best parts of the movie that we liked, that we thought were funny.
Oh, yeah.
But then we'll talk about the dumb, cool, and the weird of it. So just to kind of let y'all know a little bit more about kind of what we're doing. But so some of my favorite scenes are from this movie, like, going into it, like basically when they get to the castle, he basically brings the wench with him.
Yes.
And he brings the other two because he's like, oh, they might be of use to me. Brings them back to the castle. And my first scene pops up where he's like just they take her and she refuses to take a bath and they just throw her in there.
Yeah, they throw her into this boiling hot water.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden she's clean. They didn't scrub her down or anything.
No, she literally was in there for like maybe 3 minutes and then they pulled her out and dried her off.
That's the best bath she probably ever could have experienced. And then, you get to the next scene where they're having like a party and his friend Alfredo. Yes, there's a guy named Alfredo. He probably loves chicken.
Yeah. Yep.
And some white sauce.
Yep.
He's got his knife in this one like aristocratic woman's mouth. Like he's looking like he's doing dentistry.
Yep. And then behind him we have what we call knockoff Sylvester Stallone with blonde hair.
I love how he punched the midget.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a midget dancing for them as entertainment, and he just slaps this midget woman.
Yep. Knocks the shit out of her, and then her midget lover gets mad about it.
Pulls out a knife. He's about to he's like, I'm gonna cut a bitch.
Yep. And for him, that's like a dagger. It's not really a knife at that point for his size.
It looked like like the carving knife that you get in the knife set.
Yeah. But basically, they move on from that, and he takes Francesca to see the rooms. This is another part of the movie I really like, and like the set design is fucking hilarious for this.
Yes.
They literally made these different rooms, different colors. Like the first one's yellow, and he's like, "Oh, we had a guy in here, and
it's my father imprisoned one of his best friends in this room for 3 years. When he got out, he was afraid of the sun and daffodils."
Oh yeah,
what a friend!
Yeah, really, what a friend. And then we moved on to the purple room, and then we moved on to so he had a purple room, then he had a white room, and then he had a white room, and then he had the black room where he was like, "Oh, we don't go in there.
There's too much Satan."
Yep. He's like, "You're not ready for this yet." And then it cuts back to them walking out, and the party just cleared the fuck out.
Yeah, no. And And the craziest part is like, you know, at least he admits to it, like not even that far into the movie. He's like, "Oh, we worship Satan here."
Yep. Pretty much. I mean,
A favorite part at that point too is after he admits it, another one of his fat aristocratic friends shows up with his wife. He's like, "You going to save me from the Red Death?" he's like, "You fool! You went through the town, you stupid fool!"
Yep.
Just shoots it. I love how he's like, "I'll give you my wife. You've always fancied her. I've already had her." And then he shoots him in the neck with a crossbow.
Yep. And then he throws a sword to the wife, and he's like, "Do yourself a favor."
End your own suffering.
Yep. I'm just like, damn, bro. And so then we cut back to, you know, another good part of the movie. This is like another part I really like. It's the dungeon part where they're sitting there training the prisoners how to fight.
Yeah, Gino, training Francesca's lover, Gino, and her father to fight. That's not going to backfire.
That's not going to backfire, no. And basically, the Prince Prospero gets the idea we're going to make them fight to the death.
Yeah, so they build up to this point, and then eventually what happens is, you know, another good scene is when Francesca starts like springing them out of the prison, and she, you know, it's like, wow, you know, this thing about teaching the prisoners how to fight really just backfired as they killed like 3 of the guards with ease.
Yeah.
And I love how he trolled them at the top, like when they're about to escape the castle. Vincent Price is dressed as a guard. And they're like, "God," turns around, you know, has a shit-eating grin, and all these other guards like pop up out of a door.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, I was betrayed by."
So Victoria betrayed me. Victoria's his other redhead girl.
Yeah, and then Vincent Price is like, "Well, she betrayed me too."
Yeah, like she'll get hers. You'll see.
Yeah, and then we do. Because by the way, another favorite scene is where he's training this hawk how to kill things, and he's like kills a pigeon, and he's just like, "The thing about hawks is you cover their eyes and they can listen to their master."
And then what I love is that Alfredo is drunk roaming around the house, and the midget shows up, and he's tricking Alfredo into dressing up like a gorilla.
They're doing a masquerade. At some point, so it's never we're never really known like what day it is because the days kind of mesh together. But at some point, they're going to be having like a masquerade ball, and basically everybody needs to dress up. And the midget's like, "Oh, you could dress up like an ape and act all crazy."
Yeah, because he was confusing that guy. He was confusing Alfredo. Like, "Trust me, this is going to work, and then you can kill him. You can kill Prospero." And then you never get that. You never get to that, but the midget has an awesome revenge scene when the masquerade pops up. He, after the guy dresses up in this old, dusty-ass
gorilla suit, which, by the way, that doesn't make any fucking sense because a gorilla suit, like, you wouldn't have a gorilla suit like that back during that time period.
Actually would.
And
no, believe it or not, like, there's stories of the Middle Ages of, like, kings having, like, weird exotic animals, like lions and tigers and shit. It was just like...
I would be very surprised to see a gorilla suit like that back in the Middle Ages.
No, well, it wasn't necessarily the Middle Ages. More like closer to the Enlightenment period.
Cool,
they were
but
pretty
still,
cool,
but still, that would be really tough to get. But then, I mean, I guess they are the
elite.
The elite, so maybe they could get stuff like that.
Yeah, they definitely apply to the elites that you see today. You know, pedophilic and way too rich, raping each other.
Yeah, true. But basically, what ends up happening though is you know we've obviously skipped over a few parts. You know, I mean it doesn't matter, but like these are the parts that are actually the best part of the movie. You know,
the acid trip.
Yeah, the acid trip.
Victoria has.
And basically, what ends up happening though is he makes the another favorite scene is he makes these two like take these knives the dad and the lover. Like they take the knives and they like cutting themselves. He's like, "Oh, one of them has poison," and he ends up killing the dad because the dad finally gets the last one that has the poison. He tries to stab
Prospero, and this is before the sacrifice, the victorious quote unquote sacrifice to start off, you know, the evening of festivities.
Yeah, with the upside down cross, and so basically she puts it on her chest and she heats it up and gets herself with it. But basically, what ends up happening though is the dad dies. They kick the guy out. You know, the lover out. He runs away. He meets
survivors from the village. And
Well,
Death.
we meets the Red Death first. And then when he meets Red Death's like, "Oh, here's a card." He's like, "All right." Walks over to the villages. And the villagers like, "Oh, let's go to the castle." They go to the castle.
And he's warning them, like, you guys are going to die.
Yep. Essentially.
And then, yeah, as the party's going on, this woman, Victoria, the former love interest of Vincent Price, she sacrifices herself for Satan, and she's like, I survived my own sacrifice. And then she gets attacked by the hawk.
And then she dies. And then everybody's like, oh my God, it's so terrible. And this girl screeches like a fucking bird.
Like a bird, yeah.
And then he goes, friends, rejoice. She was just married to a friend of mine. So then they have the party, and then that's when the gorilla situation happens with the midget.
So the reason the midget put him in, this is funny, the midget tricked him into starting a coup when it was really about lighting him on fire on the chandelier. So he ties up Alfredo, lifts him up, covers him in brandy, and then lights him with a candle. And Vincent Price is like, he looks like he's horrified for a second, and he's like, oh, he looked at the guard, he's like, go clean up that mess. I don't want to becoming a distraction from my guests and their fun times.
And he's like, get 5 gold coins for our friend that put on a good show.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn, he doesn't give a fuck about anybody.
No.
And then we never see the midget again. He's gone.
Yeah.
And his little midget girlfriend gone. And so we cut to the masquerade of the Red Death. They're all dancing, having like a good time. And then the villagers try to come back, and Prospero shows up, and he's like, go back and live in the hole, gather nuts like little squirrels.
Yeah, and then they refuse, so he shoots them, as an act of kindness.
It kills them all.
Except for a little girl. Which pretty much that gives you the Epstein Island feeling.
Yep. And so then we cut to a scene where the young man comes back, hops over the wall, sees Red Death. Red Death's like, wait here. Don't worry about it. And then he's just like, okay.
You'll be reunited with your love in no time.
Yeah.
And, he goes in, he does his whole Red Death thing.
Yep. And then Vincent Price confronts him. He thinks he's Satan, gets the Red Death on all the people. They do the dance of death or whatever the fuck that.
It was a really wild acid trip of a dance.
Yep. And then we cut to we cut to this other scene where basically Red Death's like, she can leave, and then she leaves, and then then Vincent Price basically gets his just desserts. He finds out that this isn't Satan, this is Red Death.
Yeah, it's just death. Death has no master, as he said.
Yep.
What I thought was interesting is what he said to him. He's like, why are you afraid of dying when your soul has died long ago? Yep.
That's very true.
Which falls into the cool category for me.
Absolutely. So then we basically, after he kills Vincent Price, everybody's pretty much dead. And, the 2 main people, Francesca and her lover, we never hear from them ever again.
Yeah, we never see what happened to the midget and his girlfriend.
Yeah, they're all just gone. And so, it's weird. It's like almost like it's implied that they died, but maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Well, remember, he said not everyone was going to die.
This is true. But he also mentioned who he spared. He's like, I spared this little girl and an old man in the village. That's what he said when he was talking to his other death brothers, which, by the way, I was making a joke earlier in the movie about how, like, well, what's the Black Death? Where's he at? And then he showed up.
Showed up at the end. Yeah. And then he showed up with White Death, Yellow Death, and slightly Gold Death, and Blue Death, and
White Death.
And, yeah, white. I already said White Death. Was there 2?
Oh, no, it was Purple Death.
Purple Death. Yeah, that was it.
Yep, and then they go on their little march, and I guess they all were getting together to go cause some fucking chaos.
More death.
Yep, and that's Masquerade of the Red Death. You don't really get a satisfying ending with what happened to some of these characters, but you know what? It's a pretty good movie, though.
You know what? That's what I've noticed with all of Vincent Price's good movies, like the Witchfinder General. You don't get a satisfying ending, but you get an ending.
So what was the dumb about this movie?
Okay, so dumb. Yeah, I have to say, the actions to teach, the people your prisoners, how to fight, and not think it was going to turn on you in any way.
Yeah, that is pretty dumb. What I thought was really cool about this movie was the set design. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was really pretty. Like the way they painted all those rooms to be a specific color for each room. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then, because this is like back in the days when they first had Technicolor, so they really wanted to show off like what color looked like. Because this is like in the '60s is when the people started getting color TVs too. So you were able to see like really vibrant colors on a TV screen. So people wanted to take advantage of that, you know.
Yeah, and then in my opinion, the cool thing was what Death said to him is like, "Why are you afraid of death when your soul has already died years ago?"
Yeah,
I thought that I just thought there was moments where it's like, man, you realize that he's like such a vile creature.
yes. The weirdest part of this whole fucking movie was that trip scene. The what's her face?
Oh yeah, Victoria went on that trip scene when she sacrificed herself.
Yeah, we literally saw an Aztec person,
An Aztec, an Egyptian,
a Zulu warrior,
a Zulu, and for some reason, I'm guessing a Arabic shepherd of sorts.
Yeah, I don't know if they were poking fun at those ancient like cultures, saying that they were of the devil or something, or I don't know where they were kind of going.
Yeah,
with
I think it was just an acid trip.
Yeah, it was a weird acid trip because she was up on a slab, like it looked like she was in a temple or something.
Yeah, it was just odd.
Oh.
It didn't make any sense.
No, very weird. But that was the Masquerade of the Red Death, and I recommend it. Nick recommends it too.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think this is up on his top 5 list of favorite Vincent Price movies at this point. I mean, his favorite one is Witchfinder General, but
Witchfinder General, then the Dr. Goldfoot movie in the Bikini Bombs, was it?
The Bikini Machine.
The Bikini Machine.
The other one's called The Girl Bombs.
Yeah, we got to watch The Girl Bombs next. That's probably going to be like number 4.
Well, there's a lot of Vincent Price movies to cover, but we definitely like doing those. Those are good. So, but like as always, we're starting to do more of these. We're obviously doing video again, so just check it out and see if you like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And stay sexy, Atlanta.
Thanks for checking out the Dumb Cool Weird podcast. We're a movie podcast now, so Movie Mondays every Monday about crappy movies from the 20th century. It's gonna be great, folks. I can't wait to show y'all.